Good evening, Wakefield. Welcome to our Town Council meeting of Monday, August 1st. I call this meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and item number 3 is attendance, and I see all my colleagues around the table today. 100%, Sherry. WCT, we just don't see Sherry on the screen. There's a way we can see her smile. That would be great. Item 4, public engagement. Sherry, do we have anyone for public engagement?
Madam Chair, I have nobody tonight.
We see you. Hi. Great. Okay. Moving on to item 5, approval of our minutes from July 11, 2022. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Great. Any discussion? And all in favor? Great. 7-0, approval of minutes. Item 6 is our Voting Rights Act presentation, and I will ask our town clerk, Betsy Sheeran, to come up to our table and welcome. Welcome back.
I know. Flashback. Sort of, if you know what I mean.
All happy memories.
Absolutely. Always and forever. I'm not going to go through the whole voting act. It's online, and it really doesn't affect anyone's performance, all right, other than my office, okay, because of what we have to send out and everything. I'm going to give you some background on what we're doing, all right, and that includes today. In July, the beginning of July, we sent out over 6,800 confirmation cards. I want to cull the herd. I want to make sure that anyone that has moved out of this town, that hasn't sent in their census for 2 consecutive years, whereupon the state makes them inactive voters. And we sent them out. And out of the 6,800 plus, we've probably gotten back 4,000, all right? Of which about 500 people have moved out of the community. We've also received some back that were undeliverable. We have to make the assumption that they're not living here anymore. We will not remove them from the voting polls, the rolls, the roster. But I'm going to do it again next May, after the town election. And I'm just going to see, and after this September and this November, and just see if they do not vote again. And if they've missed 2 consecutive state elections, then we can eliminate them from the polls. But that being said, people are pretty good about it, and they've all been entered into the computer, which has taken us some time. The sample ballots, I'm going to deal one election at a time. Sample ballots are on the town's website and have been. They've been in the item. They're posted at the entrance to Town Hall in the glass case. And we'll do the same for voter registration, which ends 10 days before September 6th, in which people can register to vote and also change his or her party affiliation. And we'll do the same for the 10 days before the November election, all right? That's a done deal. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be in the paper, on the website, for you to see. All right, one of the biggest mistakes people make, and we hit it all the time, is people come in to vote that have moved from one municipality into Wakefield. They think if they've changed their mailing address with the post office that they're automatically registered to vote in Wakefield. They are not. Those are the feds. That's the federal government, the United States Post Office. It has nothing to do with voter registration. Now, when we hit it a little bit hard was during the 2020 presidential, but people were still registered in the community from whence they had moved, so they could go and vote there then. And then the following day come in and change their registration to Wakefield, all right? So by changing your address at the post office, and that's also going to be in what's going to be on the website and in the paper, and thank you to Jen McDonald because she puts everything up that I ask her to do, by the way, that it just doesn't count. It just doesn't make it. And I won't let anyone vote that is not registered, obviously. And I'll do the same, as I said, for September, November, as well as for in-person voting, all right, which is coming up. But like everything in life, but especially politics, timing is everything. It is not going to be put out today. People aren't going to read it. They aren't going to pay any attention to it. And I know that because I'm still getting census forms that were due in February. I'm still getting them, whatever. And I know there are a lot of people that must have sitting at their desk at home the little confirmation cards. I'm not going to get everything back. I'm fully aware of that. Some people are, right on top of things. Other people have other things going on in their life. And I don't mean this to be a criticism. We just don't have them back. In any event, every application that we've received as of right now has been entered into the computer, okay? And that's a 9-step process. People don't realize what it takes to get the information into the computer. All right, when we get them back, it's 4 steps because we've got most of the information in there. There's been some serious issues in my thoughts. I like everything to go perfectly, and that's not life. I sent out 200 letters to voters who did not complete the application properly. I can't send them a ballot. If they are unenrolled, this is mine. I'm enrolled in a party. If I were not enrolled and I were unenrolled, it would say no party right there. But for the primary, they didn't choose a party. I have to know what ballot to send them. I can't make up something or decide what I think they should get. So I made copies of their cards. I'm keeping their cards. So they can't say, no, 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 no. I filled it in. So I have their original cards, made copies of them, circled what I need in red pen, and mailed them out to them. And asked them to call my office. And I'll tell you, we sent them out last Friday. And shockingly, they were delivered in Wakefield today. And a lot of people have called. We've upgraded their thing. Everyone has a voting code, by the way, so I want to make sure I'm talking to the proper person on the phone when they call. And some people have said, we'll come down and vote in person. We don't know who we're going to vote for yet. Fine, no big deal. It's not a problem. Also, some people, if they are registered, all right, so my registration is here, and then I chose for the primary another ballot. I can't do that. So I sent out 27 letters to people who either were registered Democrats, Libertarians, or Republicans that chose another party to vote for. You can't do it. We can't even get it into the computer, actually. It just won't fly. So those letters went out today. They not only got a copy, they got a letter specific to one or the other of the issues. Either choose a ballot for the primary, or if you want to change parties, come in. And it's a lot easier if they come in rather than do it online, to be honest with you, because we can do it faster. Right then and there, they get their acknowledgement and they're good to go. Anyway, so those letters were sent out. I don't have to do that. If people send in the wrong application, it's really on them. But I do not want, and I think Steve knows this, I do not want my office up for criticism on social media, in the newspaper, or anywhere else saying that they did not get a ballot. They have every opportunity, and that's right up to every single one that we have as of today. Okay? Poll workers are all set. The electric signs are all set. And this goes for September, early voting, September, November. Okay, so the electronic signs are all set up. I've sent emails to Joe Conway and his crew. All right? The parking cones are all set that we add up in front of the Galvin. I've already spoken to the superintendent of schools. We're good to go. We're going to have the voting booths set up because it's the day after Labor Day. I'm not so sure anyone will want to work on Labor Day. I want them set up. There's nobody in the schools. They're going to be set up the week before, probably that Friday. Be done with it. The crew is fantastic from the DPW. They're in, they're out, and they're set up in no time. And then they'll be out of there Tuesday night before school starts the next day. All right? The SIM cards for the voting machines are being programmed even as we speak. Test ballots are all complete. Mark O'Malley, with whom I work very, very closely with that, will enter them into the voting machines. We've already tabulated what by hand, and that will match, and it always does, what comes out of the voting machine. So the test will be done as soon as we get the SIM cards back. To include everything else that we're doing, I'm going to get into a little bit more specificity. We're tasked with certifying signatures for the Green Rainbow Party and the Libertarian Party. Now, they're not on the September ballot. They're on the November ballot, and we've been inundated with them. Got to get them done. I won't let the people leave. Say, wait, we're going to put them in right now. None of this, put it in, call them up, have them come back. They're busy, they're out gathering signatures, I get it. I want the people in and out. So we've done that. I've contacted the postmaster. I have to pick up ballots on the Saturday before the election, because those will count, the mail-in ballots. Post office closes at 12:30. They may not have them all sorted. He said I can go to the loading dock, which sounded very exciting, and I don't have to bring any identification. I said, that could be good, could be bad, but I don't need ID. They know who I am. And I will go down all of the Saturdays and grab everything I possibly humanly can, and then go back and get them into this system. I've also spoken to Tim O'Brien, who's the head of the custodial staff in town. Everything's set up with the custodians. I have to get into the Galvin at the latest on 5:30 on Election Day, and they'll meet me down there and get me in. So they're great people to have in a team. Now, I've got a very big team, large team, I should say, of members, but everyone knows his or her job, and it's done with precision, except for one thing. It has nothing to do with the town of Wakefield. So the tale of the ballots. In 2020, we had, I think, close to 7,000 people come in that wanted to vote in person. We were open for a couple of weeks straight. And then we had mail-out ballots. And Wakefield's ballots got delivered to Waltham one day. Instead of calling me, they sent them back to Boston, to the company that was shipping, the shipment company. And the shipping company brought them back to Waltham for a second time. They didn't call me. They went back to Boston. Now I see everyone's got their ballots out. I'm thinking, we don't even have ballots. Never mind, get them out. Finally, we got them. We were almost 5 days, close to a week of work behind the 8 ball. And we got them out. And we got them out before some of the communities did, because I just worked them. But anyway, we got them out. Well, as Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again. The ballots arrived last Wednesday. Yeah. All 38 boxes. Now, I have to separate them by precincts 1, 2, 3, and 7, 4, 5, and 6. Republican within both, and Democrat. Did them in. The next morning, they came and took them all out, because it was the wrong number of boxes, and some of them had gone to, of all places, either Southbridge or Stoughton. I said, I don't care where they are, I need them back. So we got them back before we closed on Friday. Now we're down 3 days of work. And we have over 3,000 to send out. If you have an extra $5, you can put it down on a bet. They are all going to be out by close of business tomorrow. And that's a guarantee. I want them out, done. We're playing catch up. There is absolutely no question about it. But I want them out. I don't want people calling up saying, oh, my neighbor in such and such a town got theirs and where's ours and blah, blah, blah. They're going out. When they get delivered, I have no control over, by the way. That's up to the United States Postal Service. All right? My suggestion for anyone that receives the ballots, and they will get them, hopefully, is not to mail them back. If they can possibly swing by Town Hall, drop them off in my office, or put them in the 2 mailboxes that will be outside in Town Hall parking lot. That's going to save some time if they go from Wakefield to Boston and then back to Wakefield, which is what happens. Just because you mail something in Wakefield doesn't go from Wakefield Post Office right to the house. It goes into the sectional center. It hasn't gone to North Reading yet. Most of them are coming out of Boston. So my suggestion is, if the people can, they don't have to pay for the mailing, by the way. The state's already has the envelopes all prepaid postage. But if they can drop it off, drop it off. It'll be easier for them. Then we can get them into the computer, and all's well with the world. Okay? As I said, I'm not going to go through the new Voting Act. There is two things that changed, and I need you people tonight. And Chairman Butt has been very cooperative, as has Town Administrator Mayo. I need a motion tonight. Any other time we have policemen down at the Galvin or at any of the polls, anytime, I dealt with Chief Smith and now Chief Scory. But now you people have to take a vote. And I know the motion has been crafted because Steve and I have talked about it, all right? To allow, the police chief does not know the names of the people that are going to work there. This is Labor Day weekend, number one. And secondly, he always knew the night before. As long as I have 3 policemen at some and 4 at another, I'm happy. So I think the motion, according to Steve this afternoon, it's been crafted. I need a copy of it tomorrow. You can scan it to me. However you get it to me, I will get it into the Secretary of State's office, and we're done. So that will be right caught up. I am not going to get into, we had 5 elections this year, well, scheduled, and 2 town meetings. We're going now into the 4th election of the year. Early voting, the new Voters Act, does deal with early voting for town elections. I can't even think about next April right now. I want to get this primary out of the way and then go right into the state election, all right? That's it. I'm done. That's it.
Okay.
I'm spent, too, by the way.
Thank
I'm
you.
exhausted.
Before we take up the motion and everyone has language of that motion, any questions or comments for Betsy? Counselor Dombrowski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Town Clerk. This is really helpful and informative. Just one question on the motion. What is the purpose of our approving that? Is that just,
It's in the Voters Act. It was
Okay.
voted on June 22nd.
so it's just every community needs to...
Has to do it,
Separately,
right.
because it's really no different than what we have been doing historically
Absolutely
anyway.
nothing to
So
do. It's another step, and I want it off my plate. You know, because it's something it's not foremost in my mind.
Sure.
Because it was automatic. It's like, do we need a motion to have the voting machine, the voting booths delivered? Enough is enough. But, yes, we do need that. So I need it, and I'd like it tonight because you don't meet again this month, and then I'm done, because of the primary. So tonight would be perfect, and let Steve Scory do his job. Let me do mine. We'll do it.
So this truly is really just perfunctory on our part because it's your standard operating procedure, just formalizing it.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's happened all the time. But by centralized voting, I've cut down by 3/4 of the number of policemen we have. I don't need them at 4 different sites. I don't need 12. I have 3.
Well, thank you to you and your team and all the volunteers and all the poll workers. And I mean, there's as you lay out, there's a lot of effort that goes into this.
I don't think people realize it. I have a team of poll workers, and they're fantastic. They've already been emailed. They're all in. Can't wait. They'll meet me at 6, and they'll work until 8:30, 9 o'clock, but the job will get done. And they're good. They're great. They're crackerjack. I don't have to train them. They know just what to do, and that's great. Makes it easier, And if there's any problems, we take care of them right then and there.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Steve, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I want to thank Betsy and her staff, because I know they worked very hard to get this done, and to answer Councilor Dombrowski's question or comment. Tom and I talked about it. It's very subtle, and it's kind of required in the law, so we both thought this is what we should do. Every community needs to do it, and this just kind of formalizes what we were doing anyway.
Sure.
But we had to take a vote for it.
Yeah.
Counselor Smith-Galvin?
I just had a clarification. I know you talked about sending out ballots and having them drop back off at town hall. Early voting also allows people to come in and vote in person.
Oh, yeah.
At pretty much at any, is there dates when those start or
No.
times?
No,
Okay. Those will be advertised, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It's going to start, I will tell you, because I know you're dying to know.
Dying to.
It's going to start Saturday, August 27th. But I'm also going to tell you, there's a specific number, if you have so many voters in a town, between one number and another, you have to be open X number of hours. Steve can tell you this. We got well, not a ton of money back, but I exceed the hours that we have to do. I add Sundays on. I figure if my weekend's going to be ruined by being there all day Saturday, I might as well throw Sunday in too. And we had them lined right up out to the common.
I remember, yeah.
All right, that was for the presidential, I get that. But I'm going to have it extra days. We're going to be open on Sundays for both the primary as well as before the November election. I've added hours on in the day. And once they come in and they vote, that's the end of it. And all the ballots are kept and not opened until the morning of the 6th and the 8th of November, and fed into the machines then. But they're in the computer, so somebody can't come in if they've voted and return their ballot. It's not going to happen. People don't have to return this ballot. They may choose to come in person.
Okay.
I've had a couple, actually, a married couple, and they just didn't know who they were going to vote for. And they got one of my letters for the primary. They didn't know what ballot they wanted. And I said, take your time. It's not a big deal. And they said, no, we've decided to vote in person. So their little cards got put aside separately. They may change their mind and mail it in. But everything will be in the computer on Labor Day. So they can't come down, actually.
Thanks for everything you do.
I actually like it, which is kind of sad. I like organization. I like that. I like that. And I like it done well. And my staff is fantastic. We booted it today after taking care of dog licenses and every other thing we do, parking fines, I think we had. Well, we got 2 precincts done, the 2 biggest ones that had sent in their applications. And tomorrow the other 5 are going to be done. They are going to be done. And the ones we did today are already in the mail. And Steve, I have to thank Anthony. He came up and he said, Betsy, whatever you finish after he made the run, down at the post office, he's going to come in with me at 6 tomorrow morning and get them down there again, so they'll be delivered tomorrow. So we can get them out of the way,
So I'll just remind everyone, just to summarize a lot of what Betsy said. So if you're registered to vote in Wakefield, you should have gotten this official vote by mail application. And if you want to get your application by mail, sounds like there's still time to fill it out, make sure the information is correct, get it back to Betsy. She can then, her and her team will mail you your application. Also, there will be early voting dates, lots of changes, all great. Betsy and her team are great. All this information will be on the website. Also, go visit Town Hall or call Town Hall.
Right.
So if you have any questions about any of this, if you didn't get this and you were supposed to get it, or want the exact dates of early voting, or want to know what precinct, actually a couple of people changed last year because of the census.
Not many.
Not many.
Thank
Very
God.
few. Yes,
Oh.
very few.
But also the electric sign I mentioned,
Yes.
that's going to be out too, early vote, and the days that we're open and the hours and everything.
Great.
So that's it.
The information will be there, but if you have any question, Betsy does a great job, her and her team. Also just want to mention that school on Election Day, September 6th, the school is not in session, so we will be using the front door like we normally do. We won't have a problem of using a different entrance for those that want to be mindful of that, and parking cones will
Extra
be put
ones,
out.
yep. Extra ones.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Councilor Vincent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate your meticulous nature.
You're kidding.
The use of the police officers is only on election day, right? Not during early voting. You don't have
No, I don't need
police
them in
officers
early.
there.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, I've never had any problem with anybody. Whatever. But if some person really gave me a hard time about if they weren't registered and wouldn't listen and everything, they can fill out a provisional ballot, and then I'll check with where they used to live. And if they voted over there, I can tell you no can do. But it's there really for protection of the ballots. I have one person that works with Mark O'Malley, that one of the machines goes down, and I have a backup machine as well. So, if it gets jammed, and that can happen, that's no big deal. But the policemen have to be there really for protection of the ballots. When we voted in the other 4 precincts, Bob, I would meet the policemen. They'd all have to come to town hall around, I think I'd meet them at 6, and I would have a tremendous amount of stuff, a number of boxes, and they'd have to lug them over to the precincts, all right? No, we don't. I get them all down with one policeman, and that's the way it goes. But they're there for the protection of the ballots, actually.
Yeah, I only mention it because the reason we have to do this, from my study, the reason that we have to do this motion is because it's covered under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 54, Section 72. But if you want to use police officers for early voting, that's under a different section, Section
Right.
25B.
No, we
That's
don't-
why I
we
asked the
don't-
question.
We don't need them.
Okay,
We
thank
3
you.
women can take care of any problem.
Great. So does somebody want to introduce the motion?
Sure, Madam Chair. I move that the town council, after consultation with its chief election officer, namely the town clerk, hereby directs that a sufficient number of police officers be assigned to each polling place for every election. The exact number to be determined at the discretion of the town clerk after consultation with the chief of police.
Perfect.
Second, great. So motion and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Great. You have your motion. I will work with Sherry to get you a
Just
signed
give me a copy. I'll
copy.
scan it into the town. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's nice to see you
Thank
all.
you very much, Madam Clerk.
See you all. Have a nice evening.
You
Thank
too.
Okay, updates, item 7 is updates, including the master plan, and I think Erin Kakinda is joining us.
I am here. Good evening, everyone. How are you guys? Nice to see you all. Actually, I was saying before this meeting started, this is the first time I've been in an actual town council meeting in person, so thank you for having me. I'm going to start first with the master plan. I know we gave you guys an update in the fall of what was going on, but right now we're kind of in the midterm, if you will, of our master plan. So we've had 2 public meetings already that have discussed housing, historical and cultural resources, as well as land use and zoning, and open space and recreation. So let me just back up a little bit. So when we started this process, we created an advisory group of 25 people. The planning board chose those folks to be part of this board, or the advisory group, I'm sorry. They range from long-term residents to new people. I think we have someone that's been on for only 6 months or so, or living here, I'm sorry, for 6 months or so. So they have been really helping us to draft our survey and just kind of give us feedback of what's going on, how they think the process is going. And actually in the last week or so, I've been reaching out to all of them to kind of get an update of how they think the process is going. And so far the feedback has been pretty positive, but also some constructive criticism, or constructive feedback and criticism too. But like any process, right, there's always ways that you can improve it. So we are going to be having our 3rd public meeting sometime in October, and our 4th AG meeting in September. And so the next topics that we are going to be covering is transportation and circulation, public facilities, town services and infrastructure. That's 3 different topics, but one topic altogether. And then the 4th meeting will be sustainability and climate, and then economic development. So we're hoping to have a plan ready for approval by the planning board by next summer. And just I want to remind everyone, this has been a joint effort for us to be funding this through the state, MAPC, as well as the town. We got a grant through the Urban Agenda Grant Program, and then the Metropolitan Area Planning Council Technical Assistance Grant Program as well. Just trying to make sure. Just to let you all know too, so after every public meeting, we have a survey. After our first public meeting, we had the survey open for about 3 weeks or so, and we had about 380 completed responses. Tomorrow is the last day to finalize the survey for the second topic, which was housing and historical and cultural resources. And so far, we've had about 400 to 500 responses, but that does not mean it's completed. People might have started and dropped off. So just I want to put that out there for everyone. If you haven't done it yet, please take the time to do that.
And it's on the website, right, Erin?
It's on the website. I know Jen shared it through our Facebook page. I've sent it to committees as well as town council. You guys have all gotten emails from me. So yeah, we only have 24 more hours to fill it out, and I know housing is always a topic that's discussed. So any feedback and input is really appreciated with that. I'm happy to answer any questions or go on to the next part.
Yeah, let's do it topic by topic. So any questions or comments about the master plan? I know Councilor Danahy, you are
Oh yeah, and I want to thank you. Sorry, that was in my notes. I want to thank you, Councilor Danahy. She's been a great resource, and that's something else I forgot to mention. We do have a subcommittee of our AG that's been helping to draft survey questions. So MAPC has given us basically guidance on questions we should be asking, and then there's a committee about 4 of us, and I kind of sit back and just take notes of AG members that have been helping to formulate the survey, which has been great. It's a new thing that MAPC is doing as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, well, MAPC really, they draft the survey and then we just give our feedback. It's already done, so, but thank you for giving credit. But it's, I think what's really great about this whole process is that all the new people who are engaged in our advisory group, and it's such a cross-section of people throughout the town, people who are lifelong residents and people who are new here, people of all ages. So it represents great diversity, which getting a lot of feedback. But the most important thing too is that for people who don't have the time to be on that advisory group is by having your input by completing that survey, because that really drives the direction of our community.
I will say I really like that the survey tells you how long it should take, and I really appreciate that when I start that says like 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I can do this right now.
Yeah.
So I did complete it. Encourage everyone else to do it. And Councilor McLean.
Erin, there was when I did the first survey, one of the things I noticed, and I was wondering if you got any feedback on this, was it seemed that on certain questions, I'd have a menu of 5 and I'd have to pick 5, for example. So when I was doing my ranking, I might be interested in 2 or 3 of those items, and I didn't want to pick all 5. Has anybody fed back that they wanted the ranking maybe changed a little bit differently? Because if I wanted to focus on one particular area or 2 areas, it seems like by picking from the whole menu, I might be diluting the things that were more important to me. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. So if you just have the 2 that's all you care about, and then you're just, so I feel like the second survey was a little different in that way, where you could only pick 3 out of a few. I've gotten feedback about the surveys in ways that we can make it better. I have not heard that personally myself, but I think that's a great point and something that I'll definitely bring back to the AG group and then also to MAPC as well. But I can see where you're coming from with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Chines.
Thank you, and thank you, Erin, for you and the whole team for the work that's happened on this. I've gone to both of the forums and done the surveys, and it's really been kind of exciting to engage in the discussion and hear some of the ideas. I totally agree with Councilor Danahy. The diversity of opinions been really, really striking. I just had a process question. So as I think about how we get from where we are today to next summer having a document that the planning board approves. So I know we've got the public forums coming up in the surveys, but I guess if you could talk a little bit about how we get from sort of this feedback that we've collected to a document that can be reviewed. Is the intention to have that available for public comment? Are there technical pieces of that are happening sort of in parallel to the public participation pieces that will get fed in? How does it all kind of come together in terms of a finished product?
So I want to, and I don't want to speak for MAPC and how they want to, get public opinion when they put the report out there, but I want to say it's going to run pretty similar to what we did for Vision 2030. We leave it open for public comment when, the draft report, hopefully by late spring next year once we finish the meetings. I have heard from people they'd like to see kind of what we've done so far, which is hard because I think they're just trying to gather data, and I don't think they have a finished product yet, that they wouldn't want to put anything out there and then have to change anything and retract any information they put out there. But I would
Well,
have...
it's not like these are discrete topics too, right? Like everything's kind of interrelated, yeah.
So I think, it's going to be pretty close to what the Vision 2030 process was. I think we had a public comment period for almost 2 weeks to a month, I think, and they presented to you guys, with the master plan again through MGL, I'm forgetting what the statute is, but it has to be approved by the planning board officially. But I do think there'll be time for that whole public comment period.
Okay.
But I don't know officially right now on the top of my head what that's going to look like next year.
Got it. But what the thinking though is whatever it happens, there will be something
yes,
that's out there.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
And then just thinking about, when we did Vision 2030, it was very heavily focused on kind of the participation aspects of it because it was an aspirational vision. This has a little bit more sort of heft to it in terms of the finished product. And so I guess, is there sort of technical expertise that's being brought into the development of the master plan that's being kind of input in parallel to the public process, or how does that all kind of fit together?
So
as we get
different
to the
than,
final
so
document?
bringing people other than MAPC into different
Yeah,
topics?
thinking about, understanding, traffic impacts, understanding environmental impacts, things that may have kind of a direct bearing on what gets kind of developed as part of the master plan.
No, I'm going to say that flat out. No, we don't. I think people have to remember a master plan is a very, again, like Vision 2030, we're not honing in. I know people have kind of wrote me some messages about, we should be including MBTA communities as part of this. We should be including, I'm totally blanking on the other one right now, but that's not what this is. I think there's these other elements. So I guess I made this explanation to someone. So Vision 2030, right? It was the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Of what we want the town to be. This is our vision. This is our statement. The master plan, I feel like, is a level below that, and where we look at these different subjects at a more in-depth but broad point of view. And then we have these different other little elements below that. So a housing production plan, an open space plan, I'm trying to think, our bike and ped plan. So there's these different tiers, I think, of the way that we look at that. And that's when you bring in the other experts.
Okay.
But in regards to having these experts as part of these meetings, no, I think it's just more a general conversation.
Okay, so thinking of, for example, the transit-oriented development legislation, 40A,
Yeah.
we're not solving for that in the master plan, but that will be sort of a process that we'll look at through, whether it's the bylaw review committee or something else, that
Yes.
whatever
yes.
we develop will kind of be driven, or not driven by, but informed by sort of what's laid out in the master plan, but there's that level below that
Exactly.
we'll take care of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that makes sense to everyone, and I'm okay.
No, that was really helpful, and I think the timeline is helpful, and so we will see you back here next summer.
Yeah.
But hopefully see some drafts or something before then, but the finalization will be next summer.
And I think the biggest thing too, I'll just say, is participation. I mean, we're looking at how we participate again, right? And I know Vision 2030, we had tons of people, and I keep going back, that was during COVID times when no one had kids sports or didn't have after school stuff, and not to say people didn't have stuff going on, but I had nothing going on other than listening to screaming kids. I found any excuse to get out of there. But I think we're going to reevaluate how we might, look at doing in person again and see what that looks like. And I think it's a great experiment to try to figure out what works best. And every voice is important, and everyone should be heard. And what that looks like, I think we're all trying to figure that out right now. So. Any other questions?
Any other questions on the master plan? Okay, and then tourism grant.
So this is, not that the master plan isn't exciting, it's very exciting, but this is, I think.
When you bring money to our town, this is should have been first on the agenda.
So, again, let me remind everyone, the master plan was brought to the town as well as through a grant as well. So this is an exciting project. So this is through the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. This grant, I think Steve might have sent it to me back in December or so. Basically, it was called like a local rapid, I have the exact name here, I'm sorry. Local Rapid Recovery Tourism Grant. And in my head, I'm like, how could we pitch this? But Lake Quinnipiac gets so many visitors a day. So, I mean, that's a tourist spot. You know, a lot of people come here to walk the lake, and I think that's something you guys talk about all the time, is how do we get the people that walk the lake from surrounding towns or our region to come to our community? So the way I pitched it was, we're going to help our small businesses recover through this grant to try to attract them to support our small businesses. So we were lucky enough, or I don't know if lucky is the right word, but we did get a $45,000 grant to do a Shop Local campaign. It was a really quick turnaround, and I have to thank, I don't know if they're on this call, but we do have a local PR and marketing firm that's been helping us, Kevin York Communications. Kevin York and Scott Stady have been the ones kind of driving this. And so they kind of did a proposal, a presentation to us, and so we're going to have a video marketing campaign. We're going to have a scavenger hunt, which is going to be event-based for people to travel and see small businesses in town, as well as Discover Wakefield sign series. But I think the first thing I want to show you guys, and I'm really excited about this, so we are doing the video marketing campaign, and it's 4 videos. 3 of them are a day in life in Wakefield. It starts with a Gen Y, which I don't know what age that is, but so that's maybe younger than me now.
I know I'm not in there.
I don't know if I'm in it anymore either. So we have a Gen Y, a family, and then we have a couple that's lived here a long time, and I think Sherry's going to share one of the videos, and then we just have an overall Wakefield trailer. So let's see.
And Sherry, I did see Kevin's pop up on the screen, so if you just could add him also
I think, yeah.
after
Try to
the
share-
video.
yeah.
Should be there.
The first thing that brought us to Wakefield before our family was the proximity to everything, really. So thinking about 95 and 93 and just the easy accessibility to where we needed to be with work or family, the airport, you can just hop on Route 1. So that was initially what brought us here. We've chosen to raise our family in Wakefield because we love Wakefield. It makes us really happy to be here. We have a true sense of community here. There's so much, so close. We can walk to go get pizza at Depot or get our nails done, walk to the post office. Evan takes the kids for a run and we'll stop off at a playground or to get snacks and donuts. And we just think we're so lucky to have so much so close and so easily accessible.
So the connection didn't work out so well. So we'll send this around to you after, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just one of 4 videos, and as you'll see, Kevin's on the call right now. Hi, Kevin. So I've been working really closely with him as well. Jen McDonald's been part of this team too. We meet weekly to talk about what the plan is, and so this is just part of it, and we're going to be sharing it through our social media, as well as sharing it with real estate companies, property managers in town, to kind of just highlight why our town's so great. And I think, as you saw, I wish there was a little better connection. There's so much to offer here, and I hate to say it's not free money, but we were just lucky enough to get this grant that we were able to have this possibility to do videos like this. So that's just part of it. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Did you want to talk about the full project as far as some of the other components, or just focus on the videos?
No, I'll talk about the rest. I just didn't know if you had anything to add about the videos. So we're going to be doing a scavenger hunt, kind of a shop local scavenger hunt on September 17th. a great way to introduce people that live in Wakefield already to places they haven't been, or people that just moved here to see new places. So we're going to have a check-in, and it's going to be about teams of 4 to 6, I believe. And so they're going to go to about 10 or so places in town and have to take pictures or build something. And just, it gives them a tour of the town maybe that they haven't seen. So we're trying to think of unique locations as well. Small businesses as part of that. And so we hope to have more information in the next couple of weeks about that. Kevin, and then I'll just finish this because I think that the big question for you guys is, so Discover Wakefield sign series is also something they've brought up as well. So I don't know if Sherry can share her screen. So these are going to be yard signs that we're hoping to put around the lake, which are going to have various facts about town, mostly about small businesses and just unique facts that people might not know, hoping to draw people to come back, or people that have lived in town for a long time and just never knew that about the community. Right now, we'd love to put them around the lake in public spaces if we can, but we can also put them in private spots as well. But we have about 40 or so signs that we're going to hopefully circulate through over the next few weeks as well as in the fall. But this is what they'll look like, and this is just one example. And another way just to hopefully draw people to come back and shop in town. And that's kind of, I think, what we have today. And Kevin, if there's anything you would like to add as well.
Sure, I'll add just on the videos, part of the budget for that, part of the 45,000 will go toward paid social media advertising, so that we're going beyond the channels that we obviously can use through the town to get to new people as well, because we want to hit people in town, but also surrounding communities so that they're coming in to shop at the small businesses of Wakefield as well. We really are trying to get every component of this to help drive people to the businesses in town. Obviously, Aaron mentioned a lot of people walk the lake, so with the lake signs, we're hoping that they stay in town a little bit longer, whether it's grabbing coffee after it, getting lunch, going to a store that they may not know about. The scavenger hunt, we're also hoping to feature some businesses that maybe are a little bit overlooked in town, that people don't realize are there, or that they could do certain things at. So hopefully it's really a good opportunity for the campaign at large to really shine a light on all the businesses in town, but especially some that maybe have been overlooked over the past few years.
So that's great. Let's see if we have some, do you have anything else to add, Erin?
No, I just want to thank Kevin York. I was really excited to work with them. They're just a local PR marketing firm. And, I did say, I want to thank Jen McDonald as well, because she's on these calls too, like I mentioned, helping us kind of weed through things. And she finds things that, I'm like, oh, that looks great. She's like, oh, but what about this? I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. So I just want to thank her as well. And, yeah, I'm open to comments,
Well, first of all, just thank you and Jen and Kevin and Scott for all your work on this. Those look great. I'm actually really excited that commercial featured my neighbor. So Stella and Jackson lived, and Jackson and I share the same birthday. So we are, I love seeing them. That was great. They've lived in Wakefield as long as I have. So we've definitely chose Wakefield at the same time. So that was wonderful to see. Looking forward to more of them. Love the plan of just getting it out there to everyone. So just wanted to say thank you. And then Councillor Smith-Galvin.
Thanks, this is really great, and I think it's gonna really help kind of raise Wakefield's profile. For the scavenger hunt, I would just, and Kevin, we can talk about the ideas later, but I really think if we could find a way to not have people go by car to all of the different businesses, and maybe incentivize where if you show up on a bike or you show up by walking, you get extra points, or something that just doesn't encourage people driving all over the place, and really showcases some of the other things that we have going.
I think, especially being part of the bike ped plan, I totally get that. I also just want to play devil's advocate too. We just want people to see other parts of town too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
and maybe you drive to some of it and you walk to some of it, but if you happen to walk to a business that's in your neighborhood, then maybe you get an extra point or something. So I don't know how you're setting it up. And then I guess my only other thing, Steve, maybe is just to make sure that any of the restaurants we go to are in compliance with the environmental bylaws. Because I really want to make sure that we're highlighting businesses that are in compliance or have a legitimate waiver not to be. Great, thanks.
Thanks.
Counselor Chines?
Thank you, and thank you for pulling all of this together. It is exciting, and I'm thrilled that we received the grant and glad that we have the opportunity to put that to good use. This is more just a question, I think, for us as a council body with regard to the sign series. Do we think that that's something that, because they are temporary signs, do we think that they need to be put out for public comment as part of our lake structure and bylaw or not? And I could see it going either way, again, because they are temporary, they're not intended to be permanent. But, certainly I know people will have opinions.
I think if they were permanent, absolutely. And we wouldn't use those as permanent, we'd do like a QR, kind of a nice, tasteful thing. I think we have enough private places that we can put them around right now, so we can avoid that question if you wish, because we have thought about that.
Okay.
So I think that we can go private, not even have to have it, because we have to have all this done. Thing about these grants is this was very, very compact. We had to have everything completed by September, I believe.
September 30th.
September
yeah.
30th, so if we had to wait the period, we'd be. So I think
But
we
it's
do.
definitely, sorry,
Yeah.
Steve, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just think this is a great starting point as we
Yeah.
move forward for some sort of marketing campaign to build off of. And that's why you see the My Local MA too. We have
Yeah.
to include that as well.
Yep.
I meant to note that. But yeah, I think it's just something that we build off of and everything. Yeah, the turnaround with this was very quick.
Yeah, no, and I do, I see value in the signage and having it, by the lake. I think I think that gets at the demographic we're trying to get to, and certainly, not just with, the runners and walkers, but the fact that, we have a lot of people who come from out of town for the farmers market. We have some events coming up over the next couple of months that will draw people from out of town. And so I am supportive of doing the signs. I just want to make sure, just as a body, that, we're expressing some sort of fidelity with our own policies. And, to the extent that these are temporary.
Keeping it private does it. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And utilizing the kiosk, right? So that was something that we implemented a couple of years ago.
Right.
So we have, a kiosk at the lake that has an electronic screen that Jen McDonald's doing a great job updating, and so incorporating in that, and then the other kiosks that we have throughout the town.
Plus the AmeriCal sign that is going unused. Let's put something there.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Erin? Counselor Dennehy?
Yeah, I just want to thank you. This is great. And I think the video is fantastic, and I hope it gets promoted through all kinds of, social media channels, like outside of Wakefield,
Yep.
so that it can really draw people in so that they can see all the great things that our town has to offer. And I think that first one is great.
Yeah, I
So-
think you guys will be really excited to see
Yeah.
the rest. It's been great. Yeah.
It's great. It's wonderful. So thank you for all your work. I know condensed time frame has to be done by September 30th. That's a lot of work in a short period of time. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you to Kevin
Yeah.
and Jen and everyone
Yeah.
else and Scott as well. Thank you.
Great job.
Team effort.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly.
And I think we can let you leave now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Unless she
thank
wants
you.
to stay.
Are you sure? Are you sure? No, I'm kidding.
We hope you come back again, but thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Nice seeing you
Thanks,
all.
Erin.
Yeah,
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you. Item 7C, Fit Court Pickleball. I will turn to Steve.
Okay, just an update. As the board, as the council may recall, on May 9th, we did present the Fit Court to the council because we did receive another grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield campaign about fitness in America. We got a $50,000 grant for the Fit Court, and we talked about putting it at Moulton Field. And at the time, we looked at a couple of locations, and if you look at the screen up here, and I'm hoping people can see this at home as well, there it is that we looked at the front, I'll call it the front of Moulton Field, of the Albion Street side, and we also looked at the back where the existing basketball court is and the old tennis courts, or what used to be old tennis courts are. And we had a couple of neighborhood meetings. I was at one. I think the chair was at both, as I recall. I think, did you go with the other
I
one?
didn't
No?
go to the second one.
You didn't go to the second one, okay. I think former chair was there at one too. So anyways, after talking about that, we decided that for a lot of reasons, parking, where it is, drainage issues, because of drainage line going in the areas, that the area kind of near where the old tennis court and basketball court are is the place that we would put the fitness court and really create a complex there. And you'll see a couple of other things there as well. It looks like a repositioned basketball court. The basketball court that's there now needs a little bit of love, and we probably have to redo it anyway. And you also see a street hockey court there, or street hockey, what do you call it, rink?
They call it a
You
rink.
call it rink even though it's outside?
That's what they call it.
They call it a rink? We actually reached out to the Bruins. Dan McGrath reached out to the Bruins. They came down and looked at it, and they've asked us for some amounts, some assessment of the cost for that. So they want to get involved in this, which would be great to have a kind of a street hockey rink there, which is used kind of like that right now with a lot of neighborhood kids, and they drag their nets out there, and there aren't boards, but they have a great time. So we are considering that, and actually we've made that internal decision that would be our process. In meeting with the neighbors, there's always the concerns about screening and what have you, and we will take care of all that. But most of all, everyone seemed to be very much in consensus with that area down there at the top of the screen, including what hopefully we'll add is a couple of bocce courts down the road as well. So that's going to be a real fun complex. And one thing that I think we learned during the ongoing pandemic is that people really want these outdoor activities. They want to be able to walk to them. They want to use them in their neighborhoods. This is a park in one area of town that really needs some work. And we've really been doing a playground a year. And this is really going to be, I think, a centerpiece for the area. People really enjoy it. And we will certainly leverage that with ARPA funds. In fact, the council already voted to use $100,000 of ARPA funds for the fit court, and we'll have to see how we go back and come in with the others. But not to forget about the front entrance there on the Albion Street side. At one of the meetings, after we talked about it, a Eagle Scout candidate came up to me, wonderful young man, and said, he says, this front area, Mr. Mayo, I would love to work with the troop and do some beautification up there for the entrance. And I said, absolutely. I mean, a 14-year-old young kid came to look to do that. And so I think that's great, and I think that'll really open up and give that park the entrance that it should have from Albion Street. Because I do envision a lot of people, walking up from the new apartments and condos on Albion and Foundry, and that'd be a great amenity for them to use outside. So I think it really looks like a very good process, and I guess I would just like the assent that we go forward and get the concrete pad poured for the fitness court. We already have it, and then get it installed, and maybe we can have people actually using it maybe by the end of September or so. I think an assent would be fine.
Councillor Tynes?
Sure, thank you. So just a quick question. So you've had the fitness court kind of in two places. We're not suggesting that we're splitting the court.
No.
Okay.
One court at the upper part of that screen.
Got it.
Yep.
I'm supportive of that. I have to say I liked that location better, I think, from the beginning, just because of the proximity to parking. I also think the sight lines, if you're there maybe with kids and your kids are on the playground, it's just easier to see, where people are. I think there are a lot of benefits to having it at that part of the park. So I'm comfortable with this plan, and also excited for the bocce courts too.
Yeah.
Councillor Dombrowski?
Thank you, Sue. This is, I think, going to be a great improvement. One of the questions I have, and I think it's something that we should be mindful of with these projects, is just the green space component to it. And I don't want to see a situation where we're ever taking green space and replacing it with impervious surfaces. So do you have a sense of
Where the basketball basketball court and the hockey court are there right
Is-
now.
is
That's
that pre-
that's
is that pretty
basically
much-
impervious right now.
Is that pretty much what's there?
Pretty much what's there right now. The
existing,
fit
yeah.
court, to the left of that would be where part of the old basketball court is that would be removed. So it's almost a wash in that area, and there's a lot of green space around there still, so.
Because I'd love to be
I
able to,
get that.
I'd love to be able to find opportunities where if we have underutilized impervious surfaces, we maybe think about
Right.
greening them up.
Exactly.
Because there are a lot of opportunities, I think, for that to happen, and I don't think we're doing enough of that.
I agree.
Yeah, we didn't really have much of an approach to it.
Yeah.
But I think these sorts of discussions at least get us thinking in those ways. But I think it'd be a great complex.
Councillor Dombrowski, that's a great suggestion. I know Councillor Smith Galvin a couple of meetings ago talked about kind of the small spaces that we had that the town owned that nobody saw use for in your department heads didn't see, but are those potential parklets or something like that? And so I think to continue that conversation would be great. Let's plant some trees, put in a bench. I actually think Councillor Chines, that little triangle by your place, I drove by the other day and there's nowhere to sit there, which is great. But imagine if we made that a little park with some, benches and some tables, keeping the green space, not putting in any courts, but also using that as a park area instead of just kind of empty space. So
And I will say that's an area where we have lost a lot of trees over the last several years, and so there's certainly some opportunity there to think about.
to plant some trees, yes. To also go back to one of Councillor Dombrowski's initiatives.
But I think even just, even some of these, like this unwanted land, if you will, just leaving it natural as it is, to
Yeah.
me, as a policy, I'd like to see us doing more of that, you know?
Yeah, we need to work with Concom on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I will tell you that Concom is actually looking at all those places
That's
Yeah.
great.
now,
Yeah.
looking about whether some of them should be brought in completely as conservation land, because some of them are kind of like that, so that'll be something that may be coming forward.
If we have the ability to just designate more as, just forever wild, I
Right.
think it would
Yeah.
it's just nice. I think there's a lot of benefits to it.
Councillor Smith Galvin?
I feel like I'm always saying the same thing. So I know we talked about it's great having parking there, and I don't want to take away other space, but I do think that we're going to need a pretty robust bike
Yes.
parking
Yes.
area. So many kids ride their bikes there.
Yeah, and I think with the hockey rink, you're gonna see tons of kids riding their
I
bikes.
think so too, and so
Yeah.
we have to figure out how to maybe either
Yeah.
maybe reconstitute some of them, or,
Yeah.
like we kind of had at the Safe Streets where people could
Right.
like lift up their bikes and park them.
So with the
Okay.
fit court and the potential rink, if you have any ideas or suggestions, I'm going to say reach out to Dan McGrath.
Yeah,
He is-
Dan
he
has
is
done a yeoman's job on this.
completely
Very
collecting
excited.
ideas. Let us be a little creative about what we're thinking, and so thinking about sustainability, thinking about kind of maybe some solar panels on the lights there or something, recyclable materials that we use for the court or the benches or things like that. So please go to Dan with any ideas, and we know the Recreation Commission will also be looking at this, or reach out to commission members. Anything else on the Milton kind of playground? Okay, are you talking about
I am.
pickleball,
I think
Steve,
you're-
our
you're
favorite
stuck with me.
sport?
Yes, actually bought my rackets and the other day came in, so I
A
really
bike
did.
and rackets, you're like a
I'm
man.
telling you, I'm trying. So anyways, we've seen the progress of the pickleball court down at the old McKenna tennis courts down at Vets Field. The fence and gates will be completed on Tuesday, tomorrow. The painting of the lines is scheduled to be, and of the pickleball court is scheduled to be on Thursday of this week, all weather permitting, of course. And hopefully, I'll reach out to the board and maybe we can have a grand opening, and getting some people that are playing pickleball now through the rec department. Some of them come to see me quite often to ask me when this is gonna, I know they see you, when this is gonna open up, and have some sort of a kind of a grand opening fun day. But that looks like we're looking at next week. So for play ready, so it should be good.
That is great. An
Yeah.
official ribbon cutting would be appreciated as
Yes.
soon as it's painted.
Yeah.
I used the rented racket, the rackets that they had at the Civic Center, so I'll have to get my own racket if we're gonna play outdoors. But fastest growing sport in America,
That's what they
so we
say.
should all be playing easy on the knees.
I hope you're right.
That's what they say. Great. Any questions on that? So stay tuned for an email from Sherry about that. Item 7D, state budget.
State budget, well, a lot of excitement over the weekend at the State House, I guess. I really focus more on the state budget, which I really start projecting in October for the next fiscal year. And I will say that this year I was a little bit overly pessimistic. As the governor's budget was, which is the House 1 budget that came out, was more than I thought. But I always worry. That's what I do. And in 2008, I guess I'm jaded because we received a mid-year cut. I don't think that's happening at all. We're in much better than we were then. So as of today, our net state aid in the budget that's been approved and signed is about $1 million more than last year. A net of 10.2 million versus 9.1 million. And remember, you have in your package the cherry sheets, so remember you have to subtract page 2 from page 1 to get the final amount there. So that's very happy. I'm very happy with that. The real increase was in $1 million in Chapter 70. We finally got our due. I've been arguing that for a long time, and I get sick of hearing me. But this year we did get a big bump under the Student Opportunity Act, and I'm very happy to get it. I didn't even look at other communities to see what they got. I was happy what I got. Usually I'm groaning and grunting about this for months. So that did well, and unrestricted local aid went up by $200,000 too. So that was really nice for us. Some of the larger deductions to us, and I think it's something that's important because we all work with the MBTA, and we hear from a lot of our citizens that have issues with the MBTA, and I understand their issues, is that we as a community are assessed over $600,000 by the MBTA. So, we do have a say at the table from them. When they don't come out and fix our tracks and fix our fences and give short shrift to neighbors that have issues with them, that's a big deal. And a lot of our taxpayer money, I won't say it goes there, we don't even get it. It kind of goes to them off the cherry sheet. So the other big issue is charter school sending tuition. That really doesn't get finalized until October-ish, and it's something that I do look at with and talk to the superintendent about. And although our charter school sending tuition was 1.4 million versus 1.2 million the year before, our receipt in charter assistance was about 200,000 more than the year before as well. So that's kind of a wash. So all in all, I'm very pleased with this. It's been signed by the governor, and it's been approved all around. So that's great. We also had a couple of earmarks within the budget that will stay, which was for the bathroom at Lake Quannapowitt, and 75,000 towards it, so we might have to help that out a little bit, and another 85,000 for the Boys and Girls Club for the creation of environmental science lab and some maker space in there, so that'll certainly help out there. A lot of the other earmarks we've talked about, which are in bond bills, or maybe not bond bills, but separate bills, maybe they're not bonds. That's a little bit in flux right now, so we'll have to get the final, anything in the economic development bill that did not pass as of, at least that's what I heard when I looked at State House News this afternoon. We had some items in there, so Dust's gonna have to settle on this a little bit, but for me, the budget is the #1 item, and I'm happier than I've been in a while on what we had in the budget this year, which is nice. So I don't know if there's any
$1 million is, you should be happy.
Yeah, I wanted 2.
Well, next year, we'll start for next year. Any questions about the budget? And just a reminder that we will have our tri-board meeting scheduled for October with FinCom School Committee and us town council, I know the date's been set, but just a reminder, the budget comes up then, so we will talk about it, start the discussions for next year's fiscal budget then. Great. Item 7E, remote meetings.
Remote meetings, okay, this was actually very exciting at the end as well. So there was a lot of cajoling, pleading, begging, gnashing of teeth on us in municipal government about extending the accommodations under the open meeting law. And it came down to the wire again. In fact, the MMA was a little bit apoplectic because of some rider that get attached, but at the bottom line is that the remote meeting accommodations have been extended from July 15th, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. So we have time to decide kind of how we want to handle this going forward. I gotta say, we did have to reschedule a couple of meetings, and despite advice from some of my colleagues, who saying, well, you know what they'll do, Steve, is they'll just make it all retroactive, so you don't have to worry if we have a meeting that isn't under the open meeting law. I don't like to play that way if we can avoid it, because I'll be the one explaining that to everybody, and I don't feel that that's appropriate. So we did reschedule a few, and the committee chairmen were very accommodating, and actually we had the bylaw committee had a hybrid meeting, which kind of met, could have met both criteria. So if the open meeting law did not go through and there was a quorum on site, that committee would have been fine. However, it did go through, and I think maybe the bylaw committee still had a quorum on site, because I got to set them up, and I think it worked out actually very well. So what we're going to be doing in a roundabout way is that we are going to be planning to equip all of our rooms, our meeting rooms, to be available for hybrid meetings in a way that really serves the public. Because first of all, it's much easier for the public, and it's much better for democracy if people are able to tune into a meeting from their home, watch the meeting. They couldn't make it, watch it later. They don't have to run out, they don't have to drive their cars to the town hall, they can just stay at home. Not everybody drives bikes. And so we're looking at, public safety building room, both rooms at town hall. One is done, this first one's tricky. Library, civic center, of course WCAT, which is great. Looking at the schools, senior center. We're gonna evaluate all the rooms and have a plan, and it's probably not that expensive for our IT department to pull together a room, whether it's $5,000. That's not gonna be onerous for us. Now, I'll tell you that there are communities out in the western part of the state, they hate the fact that they're gonna have to go hybrid because of the cost and because of the manning it. I think that we do a pretty good job, Sherry does a great job of setting up each meeting. There are written instructions that even I can follow, going in there saying, basically hit this button and make it work. So we've got a pretty good system going, and we'll be coming back with more of this through the budget process. But that's where we're heading. That's where I think the state is heading, where the country is heading. And I think it's actually better for the public to have those options. So that luckily got signed on on July 16th, which was the Saturday. So our big thing was, how do you post for a meeting? You can't just post Zoom. You have to post Zoom and town hall, right? You have to post both. So that's why we had to make the change. And I understand that the governor was out of state, so they had to track down a lieutenant governor to sign it. And I guess it got a little bit exciting for some people there. I guess they don't use DocuSign like we do. For them to do it. So, but that was all's well that ends well in that one.
Any questions about remote meetings going forward? Counselor Dennehy?
So I think it's great news. But I wonder, what happens if there is a technology snafu during your hybrid meeting and people can't access it that we're planning to?
Well, I guess the same thing that would happen at a Zoom meeting, at the meetings we have had. I mean, if there were a quorum present, they could continue, or the chair could reschedule the meeting. I mean, that has happened in the past. Then it may.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Nothing's perfect.
No.
And I think it's interesting talking to some of the committees too. Some of them would like to stay remote, completely remote.
You're right.
All right, others want to be
Right.
present. So it is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
I think that MMA's position on it I know it is that they did not like the mandate of it, but did want to have more of a seat at the table. And I
Yeah.
got to say that this is something that we've been bringing up with our delegation. I know I know other members of MMA on the policy committee with me have. And again, it was last minute and we didn't know what was happening. So
Yeah.
it made it a little bit dicey, but
Yeah.
the good thing it was the summer, it wasn't like during budget season, it could have been horrible for us.
Okay, and last item, item 7F, 200 to 400 Quannapowitt Parkway.
And hopefully there's a little something that will be popped up there as well for this one, which was not in your packet. Can you blow that up when you get to it? Thank you. So the chair asked me to give a brief update. I know it's been all on social media and it's been in the local print media that, after a year of public hearings, the 200-400 Quannapowitt project has been approved by both the zoning board and the Conservation Commission. Both have approved that. So a little bit of history. This started out with 600 units. In fact, I think this council had a presentation a year plus ago when came to talk about it. What was approved was 440 units. 79 are affordable pursuant to our bylaw. The breakdown on these units are interesting. 274 are either one bedroom or studio. I don't have the breakdown there. 144 are two bedroom and 22 are three bedroom. So for a total of 600 units. There are 702 parking spaces on the site, and I think also recall there are 23 available at kind of across in the park at the head of the lake by where Fred's Franks is. So that is also owned by this entity here. It's important to note that this project was also supported by the Friends of the Lake Quannapowitt after meeting a lot with the developer. So there's $3.8 million worth of amenities to the town, or more actually, because some of it's not quantified. 1.75 million, it's for the improvement of Quannapowitt Parkway. And if anybody's driven around there, you can see that that certainly needs to be improved big time. 600,000 for future roadway mitigation in the area.
How much?
600,000. 1.3 million for Lake Quannapowitt water improvement. 226,000 to our infiltration fund, and that's in every development to make sure that we're removing wastewater from our that groundwater is not getting into our wastewater system, because that hurts our assessment or increases our assessment at the NWRA. On the map in front of you, you'll see a large green area. That's 9.3 acres. There will be a preservation plan acceptable to town council, Mullen, acceptable language, to keep that area green, I guess is the way to talk about it. There'll be a recreational pathway which is on pink or purple, and that pink, and I guess below it is blue. Blue is where the current walkway is on there before the lake, and pink there'll be another one that kind of leads more into the building. Both of those areas, which they'd call the lake path area and our path area, both of those areas will be maintained by the developer. You don't want to have one section mowed one day and then the next one 2 or 3 days later. There'll be a public amenity area in the middle of this with Wi-Fi and a bathroom. Public bathroom.
Another public.
Another public bathroom. Public safety office for Wakefield PD, so they can have personnel up there. They have something similar at Market Street, where they can do what they need to do. There'll be 49 visitor parking spaces, so people that are visiting the lake, visiting a restaurant, well, the restaurant will have its own, but visiting the lake and amenities, they'll be there, they'll be parking for the restaurant. And prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy there will be a shuttle system in place for, people that want to get, bus to the train station downtown, which is really going to be, I think, very, very cool and friendly on the environment. And our vision is, in working with our Economic Development Director, Erin Kokinder, and talking with the developer, is to include this with some of the other areas in town, particularly the ones on North Ave, to kind of make that loop to come through there. And I'd like to expand that, get more people downtown. I was away last week, and there were shuttles there that were 15 minutes to the downtown area, which was, I know I've been telling you, it was fabulous. Didn't have to worry about parking, didn't have to drive, could do all those things. So, all in all, I think very, very good meetings that I've had with the developer here on. It's been a few, minor discussions, mainly involved with the Friends of Lake Quannapowitt, who did, sign on and had an agreement and really helped work hard to get a lot of these items in here. And, kudos to Bill Conley and Karen Failer and that group who worked very hard to protect the lake and to protect that woodland area around there. So, a lot of hearings. I think the Board of Appeals did a great job, many, many late nights, and I think at the end of the day, this is going to be an amenity to the town. That's it.
Thank you,
questions?
Steve. Any questions? Counselor McLean?
Steve, one of the things I was curious about, is there any, relative to the shuttle, is the ongoing cost of that going to be a cost of the town? If that, goes on for a number of years, for example?
My understanding in that is, as I read it, is that, let me read you the language to it.
Right, now, I remember at one of the meetings,
Yeah.
there was a clause that the amount of the shuttle or the timing of the shuttle would be in the sole discretion of Aaron Cookinda, and
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there was a little more flesh to the scheduling, that,
There's
how
not-
often it might run, for example.
Yeah, we have to figure that out. That we
Okay.
haven't figured out yet, but it's, the applicant shall create, providing transportation to and from the property. So I think we can really work that out with everybody, so. Such details of service include the frequency of service and location of shuttle stops shall be detailed in a shuttle program to be prepared by the applicant prior to the issuance of a first certificate of occupancy of the project that is satisfactory to the approval of the town. So they gotta flush that out before
Okay.
they stop moving people in.
I would just then briefly state that I think the entire town owes a great debt of gratitude to the private citizens, to the individual members of Friends of Lake and others in Wakefield who have made this a more reasonable project through their assertion of their rights
Yep.
in a democracy. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
So,
Counselor Dennehy?
so from my understanding, it's gonna end up being, they're gonna provide lighting too, right? And pathway lighting and.
Oh, on their path? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And around the lake where it goes out onto the lake. But was there a plan that it was gonna be,
Oh, they were gonna have like a,
yeah,
like going on to the lake and a boat thing and things like that.
yeah,
I think that was an earlier
That was
versions.
early.
I don't think that did not make it, no. I think that was, I think that's not what some of the people wanted that were pushing this together.
okay. But it is gonna have, like, they're gonna be taking care of, like, it's not, people have been saying, oh, it's gonna be like right on the shores. It's not gonna be right on the shores. It's gonna be
No, no.
removed, it's gonna be far back, and it's
Right.
gonna be, like, more green space.
Exactly. The town maintains, the town owned all that part near the lake.
Yeah,
So that didn't change.
right.
And then there'll be a walkway there that they're putting in.
That they're
Kind
putting
of
in,
in the
yeah.
green behind it. If you look at that, kind of the pinkish area.
Yeah,
And then the buildings will be back from there.
okay. And then the bathroom will be public? for-
Bathroom will be public, and I envision that kind of in that center area, which would be sitting and what have you,
Mhm.
and would have Wi-Fi available, so,
So they'll have seating too
yeah,
for
I think, yeah.
people? Okay.
I think the zoning board and the others did a great job in
Is it going to be a
negotiating pretty
restaurant
good.
and a coffee shop, or just a restaurant?
It started out with a smaller coffee shop, and then it expanded into a larger restaurant, and also, I'm gonna call it a grab-and-go area, as
Okay.
well, is what I heard, so.
So there's going to be both like that
Yeah.
kind of grab-and-go coffee thing, plus a nicer restaurant?
I don't know what the restaurant is.
Yeah, no. We'll wait and see. It should be something nice. It should be
I would think so.
location.
Steve,
Okay.
what's the timeline on digging ground?
Well, they have to file their, final, decision needs to be filed, and then they'll have to demolish the building. That'll take a while. I would not expect they would actually be starting the building of the new building until next year. Spring probably would be my guess, but they want to move quickly, so maybe they'll move it quicker.
Okay.
Good company, yeah.
Well, thank you for all those updates,
Oh,
Steve.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Item 8, appointments. We have a request to advertise for an associate member to the Conservation Commission with a 3-year term expiring April 2025.
So moved.
A second.
And seconded.
Second.
Great. All in favor? Great, unanimous. Sherry, we can't see you again, but hopefully you can see us. Perfect.
I can see you.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. Item 9, announcements. Counselor Chines.
Thank you. Just a couple of events coming up. It's always exciting to have some great summer events happening, and one that is probably more timely than anything else is the ice cream social at the Hartshorn House on Thursday. I believe it's supposed to be 98 degrees, so if there's ever a day where you want to get ice cream, that's it. Obviously benefits a great cause, and it's just a great setting there, so hope everyone is able to join us for that from 6 to 8. The Wakefield Summer Band Concert Series also continues next Friday at 6 at the bandstand. So if you enjoy summer jazz at the Library Plaza on Thursdays, you've also got some Friday entertainment squared away at the bandstand. That's at 6. And then just looking ahead to the fall, tickets are on sale for the Sweetser Lecture Series coming up. They really have some great programs in place and some dates that unfortunately a couple of them conflict with our meetings, but I know CAT often tapes those, and so hopefully we'll get to enjoy those. But tickets are available on the town website as well as at a couple of retail establishments. So please join us for that. And then finally, just wanted to just say a word of thanks to the staff at the library as well as all of our town staff for spreading the word about the cooling centers over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it's been we've had some hot weather. We've got some more coming. And just appreciate everyone really kind of coming together and making sure that everyone who needed a cool place to go, just to make sure that they were safe, was able to do so. So thanks to the library staff and really everyone in town for spreading the word about that.
Great. Anyone, Counselor
I'll jump in. I just really wanted to thank the town and the police department and the DPW and everybody for making the first Safe Streets event a huge success. We counted about 850 people that came by, many of whom honestly would have come by likely anyway because it was a beautiful day, but it was a safer walk or ride around the lake. We had lots of people out for the rodeo, the bike rodeo, and the officers who fit the youth with helmets were absolutely great. So we're hoping that will become a regular event. We may go back to the town and try to fit one more date in the fall timeframe, but really I think it's something to think about for next summer on a regular basis so that people can depend on it or plan, kind of plan around it on a regular basis. And then just wanted to thank Steve and the DPW for getting the second solar system up, I believe, on the water department. I saw that the other day. And so that's two separate systems that are now there, and I would think are providing well in excess of what that water department needs and is selling power back to the grid, and so it's great. That's all I have.
Thank you. I loved how you said it was the first safe street, so that means there will be a second.
Hopefully,
So
hopefully. I mean, we need to debrief with the town, honestly, and talk about what worked and what didn't.
Yep.
But I've heard very positive feedback.
It was,
and
for those
open
that
to all of it.
participated, it was great. Next time we'll get Counselor Dabrowski on a bike.
We'll get you on the
and we'll get to
unicycle.
see Steve, because I didn't see
No,
Steve.
I did not stop for donuts.
Public
Scurrilously
safety.
stated.
Public safety said said that, not me. But it was great. If anyone has feedback or
please.
suggestions, please reach out to Counselor Smith Galvin or Steve. But I thought it was great, and hopefully in the fall it'll be a little cooler.
Yeah.
But it was great just to see all ages, all different biking abilities. It was really nice to see that. Any other updates, Counselor Dombrowski?
I think first off, Steve, your loop around the lake was very slow, so I'm not convinced there's a honeydew stop in there, but just saying, it's all right. I mean, big news for this Thursday, Bueller, Ferris Bueller coming to the Common. This is awesome. So WCIT's movie series continues, so if you have the opportunity, grab some ice cream at Hartshorn House, go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, classic movie, great movie. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, go see it again. And thank you to WCIT for all they do with this great series. It's great to see families and just the whole community come out for these events, so thank you.
Counselor Vincent?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Friday, August 5th is Purple Heart Day. That's the oldest military medal in U.S. military history. It's for service members who were wounded or killed while serving on active duty as a result of enemy action. Yeah, I can't pronounce the word right now. I do want to share with you, though, that the youngest recipient of the Purple Heart was 13 years old. His name was Calvin Graham. He served in World War II in the Battle of Guadalcanal. See, I can pronounce that word. He was injured on board a naval vessel. He had not told his mom where he had gone, and he lied about his age. When he returned, his mom found out that he had joined the Navy, even though he was vastly underage, and she reported him, and he served time in the brig. And it actually took him decades for his family to get all of his medals, including the Purple Heart, reinstated to him. But he is the youngest recipient in U.S. history. And the only U.S. president to have received the Purple Heart was John F. Kennedy. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Counselor. Counselor Dennehy?
I just want to remind, we already said it once, but just remind everybody to complete the survey for the master plan. The link's on the website, and it's really important that everybody's voice is heard in this process, because it's the direction of our town. And I'm sorry that I missed the Safe Streets. I was away, but I've heard really good things about it, that it was a great time. So I'll be there in the fall.
Steve?
Yep, I had a couple. The Warrior Club Golf Tournament is Monday, August 8th, at Thompson's Country Club. Hopefully, I will not ding any houses. There are some tight fairways there. But it's a great day, and I'm thrilled to be playing with my three sons in it. So we have our own foursome, so they do like to come
And you
back.
don't have to rush to a town council meeting.
And I usually have a town council meeting afterwards. We don't, so we planned that well this year. More importantly, Congressman Moulton will be in town tomorrow, as the council is aware, to kind of give a little press conference on the $1.25 million grant that we got through the federal government for the installation of quad gates at the Broadway crossing in particular, to make sure that none of us fall into that issue about not being in a quiet zone in the future when the FRA comes around and re-inspects everything and says, yeah, you know, you were close and we don't like this, and we're going to blow horns from Melrose to Reading until you fix it, and none of us want to go through that again. So the town take a great step in funding part of this, or funding all of it actually at town meeting, and But we do, Congressman here is to hopefully give us a big check, but the money's already in the process. So he'll be here tomorrow at probably down Broadway by 11:30. He'll be at Town Hall at 11 for anybody that wants to meet with him, as the council knows. That's it. Thank you.
That's great. My parents live on the green, Steve, so don't hit their house.
Don't hit
But
their
if you
house.
need a break,
Which hole is it?
they're like halfway.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I'm gonna give your
so-
father a golf ball. He can throw it like on the green. That's where I ended up,
They
right?
collect plenty of them,
I'm sure they do.
so I will. Yeah, you can send them a text. That's great. Sherry, anything to add? Updates?
Nope, I'm all set, thanks.
So I think the one thing that I just had to add is there's so many great events going on in town, so many ways to share your voice. If you haven't seen the summer newsletter that Steve and his team sent out, it's on our website. It actually talked about a lot of the stuff we talked about today, voting, the new voting law and how that affects us, the master plan, some events coming on. So please read the summer newsletter, sign up to get information. If you can't watch one of our meetings, then you can learn everything that's going on. And with that, we'll move on to item 10, matters not anticipated before today's meeting. Anything to add? Okay, and then item 11, adjournment. Our next regular town council meeting will be Monday, September 12th at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second. All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. We'll see you next month, everyone.